The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
With so many people living longer, the fear of outliving your money becomes a reality for many of us. Will I be a financial burden? Will I outlive my money? How will I be remembered? My name is Neil Himmelstein, president of Main Street Planning Group. Please contact me by visiting mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. I will introduce you to strategies that will guarantee you will not outlive your money, that can guarantee you will not be a burden on your loved ones. Through a collaborative approach, we will uncover solutions that offer tax-efficient strategies, lifetime income, and legacy planning, choice, organization, direction, and education. That is the code we stand behind. Contact mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. And listen to me every Friday at 3 p.m. as I host the Main Street Code for Financial Success, right here on 103.9 LI News Radio. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. I'm here every Friday at 3 o'clock. If you miss an episode, you can always catch me on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or themainstreetcode.com. And when we talk about our code, we talk about choice, organization, direction, and education. And we help hundreds of businesses, families, attorneys, accountants in the areas of life insurance, disability, long-term care, annuities, and life settlements. And we help other agents. We're completely independent. We represent 30 different insurance companies, and we fit the product to you, not you to the product, which makes us different than, let's say, seeing your career representative. That independence is important because everybody has different needs and different wants, and you need unique planning. For every person has something different going on, so you need unique solutions to whatever your situation is. Today I want to talk a little bit about AI. I've talked about it in the past. What I'm finding with companies, it's all companies, not just insurance companies, all companies. The biggest thing lacking in today's society is customer service. I don't know how many of you sat there and tried to call an 800 number and try and get something done, whether it's a medical bill, whether it's whatever it is. Corporations or insurance companies are just there, just like banks and everybody else. They're not only are they offloading a lot of the work overseas to quote unquote customer service people, but they're making you go through so many trials and tribulations because they're applying AI or some sort of electronic convenience, which is going to lead to their downfall. On the short term, it looks great. I can get rid of people. But just like the federal government got rid of a bunch of people, they're all hiring them back. Why? Because that customer service element, that people element in everything we do every day is being lost, but it's only for the short term. The short term could be 3 years, could be 5 years. But at some point, companies are going to fail without that person involved, that customer service. This is very vital. As more and more insurance companies get more and more advanced with their computers and with this, the worse the service is. I can't get a hold of people. They don't call me back. They say, oh, you got this electronic statement, but they can't explain the statement. But here's that electronic statement. And it's got to be frustrating for everybody. Now, for a consumer who's buying something, and you're talking to computers, it is maddening. Maddening. So eventually you're going to say, I don't want that product anymore. Or maybe you have products and you can't get service for them. That's like the kiss of death. Okay, I bought the best refrigerator in the world, but it does this. We'll call this 800 number, but the service team that works on that refrigerator, they're in Korea, they're in Hawaii. Who the heck knows? Just fix my darn refrigerator, for God's sakes. It's particularly difficult when you buy insurance products and you don't have an agent, and you bought it online or you bought it somewhere. And you know what? I get calls every day. Oh, my husband died. We can't find the policy. We don't know this. Well, who was your agent? I don't know. And then I go through this whole process where I go through a search process and try and help people and try and find the company. And I have to go through a process because these insurance companies are giving me the same runaround that you're getting. But you know what? We get it done because we invest in people, not computers. And so, yes, we have some AI services we're using, but let's not forget the bottom line. Everybody, whatever business you're in, is in the people business. And when these corporations are making all these big short-term profits by getting rid of people, they will fail in the long term because all of a sudden you have a rudderless ship and it's just going off into the ocean. You need people to run that ship. I don't care how good the computers are. You need people involved. AI has created another problem that everybody is facing right now, and that's fraud. They have computers and fraud going on. There's so many different ways. It's amazing how many phone calls you try and block and this and that, but somehow the fraudster seems to find a way through your phone, through the internet, through your TV, through the radio. Somehow they find a way because that's what they do. That they're using AI to do that. So you have to be ever aware. And your computers have to be locked down, cybersecurity, locked, everything. And unfortunately, the fraudsters know this and they're trying to get to you. So my point is, keep an eye out for this and remember, it's people that are going to help you get to that next level. Not computers, not I'm going to buy a will online and it not be executed correctly. I heard one of our other radio shows talk about that. What a problem that is. You can't do your own will. You can't buy your own life insurance. You can't buy your own disability insurance. You need an expert to help you in that process, and you need to do it right so it's appropriate for you. Any of these 800 numbers, even if you get a live person, he sounds great. Oh, I developed a relationship with this guy. Oh, I love that. Oh, and I want to do business with him. Okay, let me ask you a question. You know his name, first name, last name? Okay, great. Where does he live? Oh, does he live in the United States? Does he live in Arizona? Does he live in New York? Did you ever ask him where he lives? No, it's somebody I got on the phone that I now trust. I trust him because he had that nice, smooth talk, or she had that wonderful conversation. She sounded so nice. And I bought something from that person. You don't even know who that person is, but you feel like you know that person is. It may not even be a person, to be honest with you. It's getting the computers are getting so good they can replicate voices, they can replicate names, they can replicate your voice when you answer the phone. They can take your voice and then have you approve things by stealing your voice. It's terrible out there. Be aware. Work with real people, whether you're getting a will, buying insurance, any financial services, or any services. You want to work with people that you know. We're all in the people business. Let's not forget it. Because I see businesses after businesses that on the short term think, oh, I got AI this, I got AI that, and they think that everything's wonderful and they're saving money on employees, and boom, something happens and they can't retrieve it. It's gone. You need to deal with people. And I just wanted to have that little conversation because it's getting worse and worse by the day until it breaks. And then something new will come out of it again. But it's almost like when you have a fire in the Pine Barrens and all of a sudden new growth comes up, that you need a fire every once in a while. The fire right now is AI. And as great as it can be, and as great as it can be helpful, be aware that it's harmful if you're not talking to people. You're listening to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. I'm here every Friday at 3. Best way to get a hold of me is 631-647-4694. Love to have a conversation with you about your insurance needs. That's 631-647-4694, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein, and welcome back to the show. Before the break, we were talking about tackling AI and why it has to be tackled, but more so, we're talking about dealing with people and understanding that you want to deal with people that you know and trust and that you could touch and you know where they are and where they live and everything else, because they're going to be the ones that are going to help you when you need it most. Another thing I want to talk about today is blended family inheritance planning. So today, there's some unique challenges because many people, there's more blended families than ever, whether it's a second marriage and you have kids from a previous marriage, and many people think a simple will is enough. But without proper planning, assets may not end up where they were intended. And that is a big issue that we have to talk about, because this so often happens. Even if we don't have a blended family in our second marriage, maybe one of my relatives, has two sets of parents because their parents got divorced, and then they got half brothers and half sisters and half cousins, and it gets a little complicated because you may want to take care of your children, your natural children, yet you want to provide for your spouse, and it gets tricky if you don't do any planning, particularly from a legal perspective. The previous marriage, you have to have some protections, and there's a lot of time it'll create a lot of conflicts. Everything goes to my spouse. A basic will, everything goes to my spouse. Well, guess what? That's going to be a problem. You have to change all your beneficiary designations if you have a new family. So let's say you have a life insurance policy and everything went to your first wife. Well, if you didn't change it, your new spouse will get nothing. Yeah, but you've been together with your new spouse for 20 years. Doesn't make a difference. You didn't change the beneficiary. And your kids may or may not get anything. A will can help certain thing, but a trust can really help protect children from previous marriages. That's a big deal. And you want to avoid probate, and a trust will help you avoid probate. I know there's a lot of attorneys that have shows that talk about this maybe from a different angle, but I think it's important to understand why a trust is important. Doesn't mean that I have a gazillion dollars that I can't have a trust to set up a blended family relationship. It's a great way of dividing assets and avoiding this probate, which is A, very expensive, and B, you lose all control of who gets what, and the attorneys and accountants love it because they get paid big bucks during this whole process, which could take years. It could take years before your assets are distributed, or if you're inheriting assets, before you get assets. Okay. Now, fair doesn't always mean equal. Treating biological children, stepchildren, and adopted children, you need to leave written explanations to reduce misunderstandings. So, beneficiary designations on your life insurance is vital. We talk about it all the time. On your retirement accounts, super important. You had a 401k and your wife was a beneficiary, and it doesn't automatically go to the kids, and it's a problem. Joint ownership, that unintentionally disinherits children could be a problem. Outdated powers of attorney and healthcare directives could be a mistake and a big problem. Tax problems. Consider federal and estate tax issues. Your step up in basis in a house and this and that and who divides what could really unequalize your estate to the point where you need proper planning. So the right trust, the right will, the right life insurance, the right beneficiaries. If you don't plan, you're going to have major conflict between your children, your spouses, your ex-spouse. Do you want your stepchildren to automatically inherit? How often should your plan be reviewed? I think every year you should review your plan, or every 2 years, but I think frequently. And it's hard to split a house up, if that makes sense. Let's say you leave your house to 3 children. One wants to live there, one wants to sell it, one wants to rent it. How do you split that up? Well, if they can't agree, it's forced to sell it. So is that fair? Is there going to be a tax when you sell it? Is somebody going to get the short end of the stick? So a lot of times, maybe you have a child that has special needs, and they can't inherit that house because then that will put them off special needs. They won't get any help from the government anymore because they now have an asset that is part of their estate. So one of the great equalizers is life insurance, where I can give them cash and split it up 3 ways. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. The best inheritance plan isn't about passing your assets. It's about passing on clarity, protecting your relationships, and making sure the people you love and care about are done according to your wishes. Now, we talk about estate planning all the time because it's so important. Without a plan, the ultimate decider could be the government. Decides where your assets go. And you really have 3 choices while you're living where your money can go. It can go to your family. It can go to a charity, a church, something like. Or you can let the government decide where it goes. Now, if you're like me, or most people that I know, you may or may not be that happy with where the government spends your money. You might think it might go through community services and healthcare and, but instead maybe that money is going to fund a war or do something else. I'm not trying to be political. I'm just trying to be practical. Do you want your money to go specifically to specific things? You can control it while you're alive. After you're gone, it's gone. And if you don't care where your money goes, well, then just do what you're doing, okay? If you don't love anybody or love anything, do nothing. But if you truly love or truly care about somebody, something, whether it's a religion or charity or your family or your children or your spouse, then you need to plan. And it's better to plan early. The earlier you plan, the easier it is. Especially if you want to buy life insurance or long-term care to protect your assets. You want to do that when you're younger and healthier rather than when the barn door is open and you're dribbling and crawling to get out of bed and when you don't have as many options. So the key to youth and protecting your assets is doing it while you can and review your plans on a regular basis. And if you're part of a blended family, you really got to plan like immediately. You can't wait because we never know what's going to happen tomorrow. Not to depress you, but listen, life is good if you plan it out right. You're listening to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. I'm here every Friday at 3. I welcome your questions, comments, or if you'd like me to cover a topic that you're interested in, give me a call, 631-647-4694. That's 631-647-4694. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.